you saying just before that? You whispered in my ear, I stink.
No, I don't stink.
No, you whispered in my ear, I stink.
It's a good job we haven't got smell-o-vision then, isn't
I'm sorry, it's been a long day.
it? Yeah, a long day of working from home.
Well, it's a long day when you're stuck in your office. You're stuck in there all day, and then when you finish, you're still in your office because you're doing UnPouched.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, happy belated Christmas. Hope everyone can hear us okay. Can hear both of us, which would be grand. Yeah, so hope everyone's doing fine. What was I going to start with? I've already lost my place. We haven't really planned too much for today because surprisingly there wasn't a hell of a lot happening, but we did have some bits we wanted to talk about, and one of which was Australia.
We very much need to talk about Australia.
I think we do need to talk about
Yeah.
Australia. I mean, I don't think anyone's under the impression it's not a big thing, but it's something we can talk about there. Some updates regarding Arthur and Giardia and bits and pieces.
Little bit of medical news in background.
That and yeah, it's probably kind of a good thing that because we missed a week. We were meant to start last week. We didn't. We started this week. We were having some internet problems here again, and I was like, oh, here we go again. Just not at the point where we can stream because it's not. But it seems to be all right now.
It's saying it's excellent, so hopefully everyone's okay. We can see Bob's there. Hello, Bob.
Well, there's 4 people at the moment.
Right,
Build
that's
up.
excellent.
So
Lovely.
we can start with, well, Australia.
Yeah, you said you had something to tell me about Australia, but you weren't going to tell me until now, so I could be properly shocked.
I did. So I've been seeing all the stats and the figures and things, and I kind of get a bit of a good view on what it's like because my boss and my boss's boss are both Australian. So when I have questions or I want to know genuinely how bad it is, and I can ask them and they'll give me an honest opinion. And they say, well, in Australia, these bushfires are something that happens every year. They're kind of used to it, and it's actually a good thing normally. It clears a lot of scrub out the way, and then things grow back, and the animals are used to it.
It's part of their ecology, isn't it? It's part of their setup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but not like this.
My boss said it's got substantially worse year on year, and this year especially because there was a drought that went on for so long. It's just been incredible, and how quickly and how bad it's been, which is just madness.
It's like the apocalypse. It's just terrifying.
I mean, nowhere near the amount of damage, but it was like she said she was on the phone to a friend of hers, and they'd all. She said when she'd been over there a couple of times, she'd stayed in a friend's holiday home that they had, and when she was talking, she went, "Oh yeah, the holiday home's gone." What do you mean it's gone? It's gone. What you actually checked? Oh, there's no point because the whole area's gone.
Yeah.
And the whole area's gone. There's no point in going back. And she said, "You're not even going to go back and check." No, it's gone. Just madness. But what was it? It's funny how the chat on the screen is coming up quicker than the home I grew up in is burning. It's just everything.
No.
But there's one thing that we're, as human beings, we're pretty bad when it comes to stats. When it comes to big numbers, we really, really struggle to understand, what that big number means.
It's hard to get the bigness of it, to relate it to something that you're familiar with. Is difficult.
Well, that's what I thought. So I was taking some of the official stats that have come out, and I was putting them into kind of easier to digest stats, just to give you an idea of scale. And some of them are pretty harrowing, really. So the first one, so they've announced that they estimate that 1 billion animals have died in the fires. So that equates to, if this was, for example, humans, that number of humans, that would be 13% of the world's population dead. Almost 15 times the population of the entire UK. So everyone in the UK, 15 times. That's how many animals have died. Yeah. Or 3 times the population of the entire United States. Just madness, isn't it? It's almost the population of the USA, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brazil, and Nigeria all combined. All them countries.
When you say animals, is it animals, insects, birds?
All the animal. Well, they haven't really given official. They mean. I gather they don't mean insects as well because there would be a lot more.
Well.
But animals, they're saying, and it's estimated on. I guess what they've done is they've taken how many animals there are per square mile, and they've worked out the different areas there are and bits. What's scary about that figure is them countries that I just reeled off, they hold first to seventh place of the highest populated countries, all combined. It's the equivalent of all the dogs in the UK burning 111 times. 111 times. Or all the dogs in the USA, all dogs, strays, ones that are owned, all of them, 11 times.
So you take all of those much loved family pets and wipe them out.
Yep, that's the huge scale of this.
Yeah, it does. Putting it in, sort of westernised urban terms is really important.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
They've estimated that 25,000 koalas have died, and they haven't really got any official figures for the number of koalas in the wild in Australia. The figure varies massively, but from both ends of the scale, that could be anything from half to a quarter of the entire population.
It's not finished yet either.
It's not finished yet.
Even though they might, even though they may save whatever they've rescued or heal their wounds, etc. How are they going to live in the wild again? Their habitats have been destroyed.
I think they will, because they're not. There was a lot of talk about the fact that they're now like essentially extinct. That's not strictly true, but it's going to push them from being, a fairly comfortable species that we're not really too worried about to now being, they need some care, they need looking after. But I mean, that's not all the stats. So in terms of, I'm only reading this in the paper because there's no way I remember all these stats by myself. So in terms of how much space, how much area has been destroyed, so it's almost as if all of England was burnt, all of England, or Wales, 5 times, five Wales all burnt, or all of Scotland, and 5 million hectares of north of England. That's basically like down to Newcastle, pretty much, all gone. All of London, 64 times. Easier for us to think that scale because we know how big London is. And for those who are in the US, it's the size of New York City, 129 times. The Florida Keys, 284 times. Or 80 times the area that was burned by the California wildfires. 80 times more. Madness.
I'm just sort of cribbing on your notes here. You've got something about CO2. What about the effect of the smoke pollution? Because that would spread further.
I was trying to get some figures around air pollution levels and bits, comparing that to, and it's kind of brought places like Sydney on par with some of the more polluted cities due to the smoke. But in terms of CO2 released, I mean, I know it's 350 million metric tons.
It's this room makes me yawn.
350 million metric tons of CO2, which is half of what Australia would release normal. And Australia, as a country, do release a lot of CO2 anyway, which is
why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, they're a very industrialised country, I guess.
Well, Australia.
Yeah, they produce a lot for that area. They're one of the higher ones. Not well, as we'll get into, not compared to some others, but that's half of what Australia produced, just them fires, so nothing else. 3 times the annual CO2 production from Belgium. So all of Belgium 3 times. Just less than the annual CO2 production of the UK.
And we are heavily industrialised. Yeah.
And here's 2 stats, and this wasn't just scary because of the Australia, but it's also scary in itself. I'd say both sides of this is scary. So it's 1/14 of the annual CO2 production of the USA. Does that put in perspective how much CO2
Yeah.
So it's almost what the UK produces in a year, but it's only 1/14 of the US. I mean, okay, size-wise, let's make it worse. 1/29 of the annual CO2 production of China. 1/29.
I'm still yawning.
Do you know all our live streams are yawning?
China, that's shocking.
Yeah, and that's not it's a big country, but
Mm.
yeah, exactly. 129th. It shows how like reasons why the US are trying to pull out of all the agreements on reducing CO2 because they've got a long way to go.
They've got decades of work and possibly more decades still of undoing to be able to repair the damage.
Yeah. Well, so with they're saying that it's it'll take around a century for all the CO2 release to be able to be naturally absorbed, and obviously that isn't going to happen because there'll be more and more put in. It just basically accelerates everything. So, yeah, I mean, I was looking for stats that kind of related things to I know, so that's my stats. Kind of shocking, isn't it? Really.
I'm just having a look at some of the things up on the chat there. Annette obviously lived in Australia as a child. Australia is a complete unknown entity to me. I've never been lucky enough to be able to visit there yet. And I didn't realise the amount of industry that was actually there. There's a lot of mining.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Gold and coal. It's quite a big thing.
So will people's livelihoods and jobs be affected by this?
Oh, massively. Farming's a big thing. I mean, I would say a good proportion of that CO2 that Australia produces farming. Cattle farming's a big thing. They have like huge amounts of that, and as we know, cows produce a lot of CO2.
Yeah.
And it will affect people's livelihoods. I mean, I wonder if there'll be a balance because so much ground has been lost. Will that mean that there'll be less cattle, and then that will actually take away next year from the net CO2 release for Australia? But who knows really at this point.
What will the people do? It's very natural for us to be deeply concerned about the animals, but the impact on human life and welfare is just going to be dreadful, and it will outstrip the demand of the social resources that the country's got.
Oh, massively. And I think one of the big issues...
It's a disaster. There's no other way to look at it. It's an absolute disaster.
I mean, my final thing I think on this was that it was actually brought forward. I mean, I don't think anything I'm saying is something that people don't already know, it's not already been put in the news, but the fact that the government knew, the Australian government knew, they were told this could potentially be a problem, could potentially happen months ago before it happened, and they just dismissed it.
Didn't have maybe they just didn't have the funding or the resources to be able to deal with it.
Well, when I was talking to my boss, she was saying that they have different levels, like numbered levels, and they'll say this year is going to be a 2, this year is going to be a 4.
Like the terrorist threat.
And 5 being like 5 means there is a danger to life because of forest fires, and they were saying this year's going to be a 5, this year's going to be a 5, and just like
without a doubt, yeah.
And it was true. It was true.
So what about next year? There's no evidence of climate change reversing.
Well, no, and you look at how many there's been. We had it wasn't forest fires. We had fires in the UK.
Yeah.
One of the wettest places. Just rains here non-stop, but we still got it. California, the Amazon rainforest, Australia. There was some in various other places, wasn't there? There was one in Russia.
Well, yesterday in the good old UK, in the dead of winter, it was 12 degrees. But it's just, I mean, this is how much more proof do the governments of the world need?
I think most of them know. I think it's
listen, but what do you do?
Well, it's okay because Trump doesn't believe in climate change, so it's okay.
I don't believe in anything that comes out of that man's mouth.
No, probably getting too political for UnPouched.
But this is a huge subject, isn't it? Let's get back to the rights.
I think it was important that we spoke about it, and just. I mean, what we're going to do is we're going to do a donation to. There's a rescue on Kangaroo Island that are trying to do something for the koalas. So we're going to. Hello, cat. We're going to do it on behalf of the society. We're going to do a donation to them.
We're going to put something together for that. Because we're fortunate enough to be able to. We can. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Well, I was looking because there's plenty of bigger companies and things that are trying to do it, and fine. But I work for a charity. I know how it works. It's not like your money's going directly to help. It's just getting put in a pot, and it is eventually going to doing a bit. But it doesn't feel the same. Although it technically is, it doesn't feel the same. Then if you're giving it to someone and you know that it's going into some like wildlife rescue's bank account.
The people that you work with who are from Australia, do they know any anybody that's directly involved.
No, a lot of them, to be honest, are sort of city people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course they are.
They'll know people who know people, but yeah.
They didn't know Steve Irwin then.
Oh no, you know everyone in Australia knows Steve Irwin.
Well, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they used to. They all knew him.
No.
Big country.
Shall we get to the rats now?
Yeah,
You think?
Let's do it.
Do you want to give an update on what went on with Arthur and what the?
Yeah, it's bad news followed by good news, I suppose. We've always had loads and loads of support for Arthur since he was a tiny little baby, and he's over 3 years old now. He became quite the internet celebrity. He's pretty famous, isn't he?
Really?
Well, Akinator.
Oh yeah, he come up on
knows
there.
He knows who Arthur Pouch is. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he has to be.
Only because then the YouTube channel was in his name. It's not anymore. So it might not anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. Nevertheless, he's won a lot of hearts, and I know that a lot of people really care about him, which we really appreciate. Last year in August, he became dreadfully ill, just chronic, acute diarrhea that wouldn't stop. As soon as it started, we got him treatment, and they took a sample. So they were able to recognise very quickly that it was a parasite called Giardia that was affecting his lower bowel, and he wasn't able to hold on to any food or water, and we had an absolutely terrifying 4 weeks of constantly trying to rehydrate him. He was hospitalised twice, put on a drip. I was getting up every 3 hours and forcing a rehydration solution into his pouches. I'm just hoping that he'd swallow some, and coming home from work in tears in case he was dead. It was an absolute nightmare, but eventually he did turn around. The vets warned us that it's the sort of thing that can lurk and it can come back. 16 months on, absolutely no problems, until one day a week and a half ago, we found something really unpleasant in the cage. We didn't really know whether it was him or whether it was Rory, because they lived together. Foul smelling, dark, sort of burgundy substance that is nothing like what they would normally pass. Put him on the toilet because he's good like that. We can get him to go on the loo, and managed to get a sample of something that definitely contained blood. As you can imagine, we're in absolute panic, trying to go back and think, well, what has he stolen? Has he crunched something up? Has something gone into his intestine and got stuck? It wasn't a particular frequency, but he was very, very lethargic, wasn't he?
He wasn't himself. You get to know what they're like day to day, and he wasn't himself.
He was quiet and miserable, and we were terrified. We got him straight to the vet, who looked at the sample and confirmed, well, yes, we can see there's blood in it, we need to find out why. Sent off a test to the lab, and 3 days later, we've been given him medication. Hadn't done anything particularly. No. When we got him back, they said, guess what it is? It's Giardia again.
Damn Giardia.
Totally different presentation. Apart from the lethargy, and he had a very swollen stomach, which he did last time. I think the parasites produce a lot of gas, and he had a big swollen belly. But the evidence was coming out of him wasn't anything.
No, it was totally different. Otherwise, we would have guessed if the same thing would have gone. Oh, is it this again?
Well, we thought he'd ingested something sharp and it had gone stuck. I was convinced he had a tumour, he had cancer, and he was going to die. Another tearful 3 days, and it was Giardia. And once he was on the right medication and anti-worming for that, it cleared up within 48 hours. Took a little. It took a few days after that for him really to return to normal.
Yeah, it was a slowly. Well, we know because he play fights in the cage with Rory every morning, so he wasn't doing that, and then we kind of knew, well, that's not right.
And
Only
when I
yesterday,
come in, he flies out of his cage, flies out of his bed. When I go to pick him up, he's all purring and humping my hand and rubbing himself all over me, and he didn't even want to get out of bed.
Yeah, it's not right.
Scary stuff, but he's more than making up for it now, isn't he? In fact, he's friendlier than ever. And we wonder, I know that some of your rats, like Linda's, are on long-term medication. Linda's rat's got a heart problem. Um, and you often wonder, because you're forcing this medication into them, are they going to hate me for it? And the answer seems to be no.
They do understand that they feel a bit better.
Yeah, they don't like the process at the time, obviously, who would? And, Arthur kicks, screams, fights, bites the syringe. But he lets me do it, and he somehow linked it with feeling better, I think.
He was even being nice to me. He was licking my feet and
purring at
yeah,
you.
and he never does that. He's always like, "You're just a piece of furniture in the house. You can bugger off."
You're just an obstacle I need to climb over to get to Mum.
Exactly. He normally wants nothing to do with me, but even me was a bit sort of like, "Oh, thank you."
He's been liking you, hasn't he? Yeah.
So odd, but yeah, it's odd for that to come back again.
Last time, he's got a nickname. Last time, when he was really dreadfully ill for a long time, I was trying to get food into him, trying to get medication, and going, Arthur Strong, and the nickname stuck, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So we've been calling him Arthur Strong again. It's like a mantra for him to get better when he's not well.
Yeah.
Needless to say, the rest of them never suffer from anything. There's never anything wrong with them. It's always him.
It is always him. But I think it might be something that he carries on getting. But you did a bit of reading about Giardia, because it's...
Yeah.
Understand quite how it works or what it actually does to the body.
Well, there may be some people who are listening who don't know what it is. Giardia is a parasite. It's generally waterborne, but it can live on any surface, and the cysts that it produces can live for months, dormant, on a range of surfaces in a range of animals, including humans. What rats are thought to carry is Giardia mures, which is a particular type of Giardia that's related to them, but they can also get, it's called reverse zoonotics.
Right.
Zoonoses are diseases that we can catch from animals, but there are about 7 that animals can catch from us, and Giardia is one of them.
So it's actually it's the human variety.
Yeah, well, the link here is that just before Arthur got ill, the disease has a 1 to 3 week incubation period. Earlier that month we returned from Africa last year. Although it exists in the UK, it's very rare. About 7% of dogs carry the parasite, with or without symptoms. You can carry it and have no symptoms at all. So while about 7% of dogs will carry it in the UK, less with cats, less again with small mammals, it's really quite rare. But it can hang around, and unfortunately Arthur's has flared up again.
Now, am I correct in saying that I think Giardia, that actually looks like a face, the actual parasite?
It looks like an alien with 3 or 4 legs.
Do you want me to see if I can find a picture?
Yeah, do it. I'll carry on talking while you do
Yeah,
that.
okay.
But I was looking at it earlier, and it was like a big alien face with a few sort of fronds. Or anyone who's watched Doctor Who before, think about the Ood with the tentacle things coming out of their mouths. That's a good one. Now, can people see that?
They will be able to when I flip it over.
It was the Worms and Germs blog that I got the information from. So thank you, Worms and Germs.
Let's try and get a bigger picture of it, because
yeah,
it does look like a face. Can I get it bigger?
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like a kite.
It looks smug.
The sort of kite, yeah, it is smug. It's a smug bastard thing.
I'm giving you diarrhea.
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you off.
It's mad that we're as human beings, we see patterns, we see faces and things.
We are programmed biologically to recognise faces. It's in your psyche, because obviously babies.
It's odd. Is there any other? Yeah, because there's other pictures of them. They also it's got a little hand.
It's smiling.
I think it looks like. Do you know Cool Spot?
The sixth smile of death. No, I don't.
No.
That's a good one. At the bottom, you missed it.
Oh, wait.
There.
What the hell? It just looks so smug. It looks really full of itself.
Oh, it's just bad. Get it off.
Yeah. Okay.
Get it off. So we're hoping that we are a Giardia-free zone now, or at least the poor Arthur won't get infected with it again. Because it's hideous.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we've seen the last of it.
Yeah, and I've got to stress at this point, it can be carried in water that is contaminated with feces, poo. They do poo in water. The only cage that doesn't have a wet tray is Arthur and Rory's because they won't use one.
No, because Arthur uses the toilet and Rory has taken him to just pooing in the cat stand.
Yeah, Rory won't go in water at all. But
She
are
wants
the
to-
others infected? No, I don't want them to be. It's not.
No. Well, none of the
Please.
others have put any poo in there, so
Please,
and I do
no.
bleach their bowls out occasionally, so it would.
Yeah, we do keep them. They live in our living room. You've got to keep them clean. We don't live in a horrible infected house or anything, and we do keep them clean. It's just really unfortunate
Yeah.
that one of them, out of all of them, has become ill.
Exactly.
But he's on the mend. He's got a vet check tomorrow, and we've got to take in another sample. So I'll be there with the toilet roll while he's got his bum hanging over the toilet.
They're going to do another test on it, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'll have to borrow one of your little pots again.
So it's ones I use for doing my aquarium testing, and then I get weird results on it when I then do my test, and I'm like, why is that? Because there's poo in it.
That's really no surprise. You'll have to wash it out properly.
I do. I do.
Yeah. We don't want the fish getting it as well, do we?
I don't think fish can get Giardia.
Or us. I mean, there's a limit to the amount of hand washing you can do without making your hands sore. But yeah, we've just got to practice general hygiene and hope that we're going to be okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think we've done fairly well considering we didn't really have a script today.
Yeah, and the other rats are happy and healthy. No more babies.
No more babies. Good.
Yet. Watch this space. We don't think anyone's pregnant, so we're having a nice little baby break. The three boys that were born have all gone off to their new homes, and they're all doing brilliantly.
Yeah, we're getting.
Aren't they?
See, well, we're seeing them pop up on the group, and it's
Lots
so
of
nice.
feedback. Little Clark's just on the verge of going viral with that chicken nugget picture. It's fantastic. So yeah, thank you, Celine, for giving him such a brilliant home.
I'm just waiting for Alan Deans when he wants another one, because I'm sure you're going to be next.
I think I think Alan will be the villain here. This is my prediction. Nettie will be saying no more. We've got enough animals. Absolutely not. And he's the complete pouchy convert, isn't he?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Alan.
We love Alan. We love you, Alan. Is he there?
Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And then we've got they've all gone off and some new owners.
Yeah, we have got some potential really promising homes for if and when they have any more.
Yeah.
So things are looking good. I think 2020 is going to be a really positive year.
Oh, Alan might be getting another ferret.
Another ferret. I get pouchy. They're much better.
Oh,
Bob's wearing the same.
You were in the same t-shirt.
The same t-shirt. Didn't we send them to him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good for you, Bob. Is it the same colour?
It's the same colour.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I tend to... The purple ones tend to be the nicer ones, so I tend to send them out. We're actually running out of them now, though.
See, I like the blue ones.
You like the blue ones?
I've got a blue one as well.
No, well, it's not like we have to choose, do we? We've got plenty to go from.
No, we still have rather a lot, so... Yeah.
I guess the last thing we'll end up on was... So we put there was a post that went up. It was kind of something we all put up about rather controversial subject of fundraising for vet bills. And just kind of reiterating, it's not aimed at any one person or any one thing, but it seems to become a bit of a thing now, and it's not just on us, but I've seen it across. I think with the likes of Facebook and groups and social media, it's becoming more of a thing. And I personally, just my view, I'm dead against it. I don't think it's right.
No.
But as a society, as a committee, we sat down and we spoke about it. What is our view? What do we want? And we all come to the same conclusion.
No, it's and fundraising is relying on the goodwill of other people. It's not a substitute for a reliable source of income. If you're landed with a huge vet bill, before you invest in an animal that is likely to cost a lot if it's ill. I mean, Arthur's runny bum for like a day and a half has cost us over 300 quid.
Yeah.
And even if you were insured, which he's not anymore because the premium went up so high that we couldn't afford it. But even if we had been, that is initial treatment and diagnosis, that wouldn't have been covered.
No.
So think really, really carefully about your finances and your ability, before you take on not just a pouchy but any animal, your ability to cope if it's sick.
I mean, my opinion is, if a pouchy is not cheap, I think collectively keep them artificially expensive because it makes them harder to just pick up as a toy. You have to be really like invested in them to invest in them, and at the same time, if you have got the funds to invest in one, then really you should have the funds to pay vet bills. I think it's. I mean, we put it so Linda was gracious enough to help us with our contract. That basically, whenever babies go from us, and the same will go for any other NPRS breeders or anyone who wants to breed, kind of and register through us. Part of the contract, as we said, is it covers that if you cannot afford the vet bill, then we will take the animal back. But it's kind of you surrendering it. It's not for us to as a society to pay.
No,
it's not as a
imagine
breeder
if you
to
had
pay.
to pay everyone's vet bills. You just couldn't.
Oh yeah.
Do it. We don't earn.
But it's
Enough.
we would do it on the basis that we love the animals and we want them to be better.
And the ones that are born here are ours first.
Well, that's kind of it.
So that is the same with the fancy rats and other things.
And we know, circumstances can change in that extent, but it's having that thing that, I love the animal, but I've got to do. I mean, I asked you the question, didn't I, the other day? If crunch came to crunch and it was Arthur was ill and we couldn't afford vet bills and you had to surrender him, would you surrender him? And you said, yeah, if it meant him living.
Yeah, if it's a choice of life or death, then yes. But
and that's kind of what it comes down to.
It's a really personal area. I think all we can say really is that we don't support crowdfunding on our page or group.
No,
it makes people feel bad if they either can't donate or feel like they don't want to or need to. There's an underlying element of guilt. There was one going around recently saying, my animal's going to die in 2 weeks unless I can get some money together. And people don't want to be reading that, and certainly not on our group.
I don't think it's fair.
It's very unfair. I understand the distress people must be going through. It's not fair to put that anxiety onto other people.
No,
pay your own bills.
plan in advance. Be a grown up. Plan in advance.
Yeah.
Pay monthly for insurance if you have to, or put money in a pot, or put it in a separate bank account.
Or even just be aware that you could be landed out of the blue with something really catastrophic.
I mean, 99% of the time, a pouchy owner will at some point be landed with a big vet bill. That's just the nature of the beast.
As they get older as well, interestingly enough, Exotic Direct are the only insurers in the UK. They've gone out under a couple of subsidiaries, but they always refer you back to Exotic Direct.
I think they're the only underwriter, aren't they?
They're the underwriter, yeah. And they won't insure them over the age of 5. And of course, after the age of 5 is the time when they're going to get ill.
Yeah, so just start.
If
just start.
anything,
Say I'm going to put 20 quid away a month.
Yeah.
And then if the animal doesn't get sick, hooray, you've got a bank account full of money that you didn't use. But if you do, you've always got it, and that means you've made as best a choice you can. I know it's hard. I know it's a controversial subject, but we have to kind of make a stand on it because it could become an epidemic otherwise, where everyone just
yeah. I mean, it's
crowd
really
funds.
interesting to hear people's thoughts, good and bad, on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy for. I mean, actually, happy for people to challenge us on that.
Yeah.
If they think that there's a reason, then challenge us on it.
Yeah.
Because it's just a decision that we in the committee have come up against. Should we scan through the comments?
Yeah.
So Annette paid.
Oh, Linda's on. Hello,
Yeah.
Linda.
Annette, so Floki had his neutering today. Floki is one of our babies. £33 for a neutering. That some of the vets in the UK are being very, very good. I've noticed of late, where they will. There's the government, I think, subsidise.
There's a national bursary to get your animals neutered.
Yeah.
So a £200 operation will cost you about 30 quid.
Now, I think in reality that's really meant for dogs and cats. But I think a lot of vets are going, well, actually, we'll cover all
Well, they'll
animals.
get the money. They will get the fee from the government.
Yeah.
So it's in their best interests, really, to charge.
So actually, getting your animal neutered is, like I think we paid like £35 to have Sally done, and that's.
Yeah, and that's quite a big operation for a little rat. She is fine, by the way.
She's
Yeah, she's recovered. You can't even say she's had anything done. I wouldn't hesitate to spay or neuter if you think it's in the animal's best interests.
I certainly don't think she's improved in temperament either.
Oh, I think she has, you see.
Well, I have to go out the room still.
Yeah, she's better with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a clever girl.
Bobo does need a friend. Yeah,
I think they survive really well. They absolutely thrive on company, even if they're arguing with each other all the time. They've got company.
I think pairs, well, male female pairs
Pairs
do
are
well.
fantastic.
It's
yeah.
risky for I guess for us to always say we recommend male female pairs, but male female pairs with the idea of getting the male neutered at 6 months. And again,
You can't,
we put it in contracts.
Breed
Yeah,
indiscriminately. We're not selling them as for breeding in the UK yet.
no.
They have been sent over to the continent with permission to breed, just to widen the gene pool. We can't not share.
Yeah.
And likewise, we've had ones back from Europe.
Yeah, I mean
exchange.
we've got people that we may work with and we may invite in, and it's just about building that trust, because it is a big trust to just trying to put that control, because where we register them, we give them numbers and we know where they've been born and where they're living and stuff. It's keeping their records is important.
And the people on the continent, we've had babies from them as well. In fact, one of them is Arthur.
Yeah.
So it's been really good, really precious to be able to give back to his breeder something that will, it's not his genes,
no.
but something of him that will hopefully carry on.
Floki ate some peas and tried to bite a net. I actually love hearing about Floki's little adventures. Like we ate that big cake.
Fantastic. Yeah, nothing wrong with his appetite. I'm glad that he's eating and he's alert, and he'll be sleepy for 24 hours or so. He won't be himself, but try not to get anxious. He'll be alright. And he'll heal remarkably quickly, hopefully.
Yeah.
Within a few days, you can scarcely say anything. They're such good healers.
Got this, and I donated to Rescue Collective. They're doing fantastic work with canal with adult animals. I have to look them up.
The Rescue Collective? Oh, right, yeah, we can have a look.
Yeah, I'll have a look. And saying, plus millions of animals that are injured in Australia as well. That is true. For as many there are dead, there's going to be lots and lots that are injured. And Arthur made a quick recovery. Bob's sister had Giardia many years ago. I think that's it. I think that's us UnPouched.
I think it is, yeah.
No.
Yeah, well, have a brilliant fortnight, everybody. Thank you again for joining us and listening, and it really does mean a lot to us.
Yeah, and as always, if there's something you want us to discuss, talk about, always let us know, because we don't mind doing the research to find out the answers to them buzzing questions you might have.
Yeah, in fact, it's useful because sometimes we're kind of run out of.
I tend to, on the day we do UnPouched, I tend to about midday sit there and start doing research over my lunch break. And it can be hard because I have to come up with the ideas and then do the research. It's easier if I know what I'm roughly doing and then do the research. So any ideas you have, any questions, do fire them over. I'm always up for something, a challenge. Reading some scientific papers about something is always fun. Oh, and next month we'll be right on the cusp of the new Chinese New Year of the Rat, so we'll do something nice for that as well.
Year of the Rat.
We're next UnPouched will be on the Friday, and then the Year of the Rat starts on Saturday.
Excellent. Okay, we'll have a little bit of a dig around for some funny facts
I think
in relation to that. That'd be great.
Lovely. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again in a fortnight. Bye for now.